That's mine. Like I've done it in the Peninsula Valley. Which road do I take?
You know, we can be craft. We've got an 8-part sign-out process. We'll try to find 10.
With the Oscars on Sunday, we decided to cover one last Oscar-nominated film. Over the last month, we covered most of the movies that are up for Best Picture. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a movie that isn't up for Best Picture, but is up for Best Costume Design, Best Production Design, and Best Original Score. I think Babylon definitely deserves those 3 nominations, but it's probably disappointing for Damien Chazelle, who wrote and directed it. Damien Chazelle has directed a few films at this point, many of which have won various Oscars, including Whiplash and First Man.
1, 2, looks like that might be all night. Neiman?
He also wrote the critically acclaimed Cloverfield sequel, 10 Cloverfield Lane. But, more than any other movie, Chazelle is known for the 14-nomination, 6-win sweep that was La La Land in 2016. That sweep netted Chazelle the Best Director Oscar, making him at 32 the youngest ever winner to this day.
We lost, by the way, but, you know.
Guys, I'm sorry. No, there's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won. This is not a joke.
This is not a joke. I'm afraid they read the wrong thing.
Chazelle's work, from his first directorial project, Guy and Madeline on a Park Bench, is obsessed with musical, jazz, and spectacle. This stems from his background as a jazz drummer, at least in high school, before deciding to pursue film in college.
1, 2, not my fucking tempo!
La La Land was a musical inspired largely by films from the 1920s, although set in modern Los Angeles. With Babylon, Damien Chazelle set out to make his large 1920s period drama, which revolves around the move from silent film to talkies. In 1927, Hollywood faced the cataclysmic shift that was Al Jolson's The Jazz Singer.
That's the thing. He's white.
He's white?
The Jazz Singer was the first feature-length talkie, combining dialogue, sound effects, and music.
Mammy. Mammy.
It arrived just in time for the 1929 First Academy Awards, which honored films from 1927 and 1928. Warner Brothers basically awarded itself an honorary Oscar for The Jazz Singer for the pioneer talking film, which has revolutionized the industry.
It's Manny. Everything's about to change.
Babylon is essentially Chazelle's dark and excessive take on Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly directed and choreographed Singing in the Rain to be a story about the trials and tribulations of 3 Hollywood stars thrown into the tumultuous talkies. While Singing in the Rain is lighthearted, musical, and fun, Chazelle's companion piece is dark, revels in excess, and is honestly quite grotesque.
This is what a degenerate fucking animal from Jersey does.
The most sympathetic character, Manny Torres, played by Diego Calva, is based off of Gene Kelly's Don Lockwood, but rather than a star, Manny Torres is an immigrant hired hand at Don Wallach who is a Kinescope executive, large, star-studded orgy parties in the Hollywood Hills. He dreams of going onto a movie set and is pulled by Brad Pitt's Jack Conrad, a director-actor based on silent film legend John Gilbert, into the debauched but enchanting world of Hollywood movie making.
We gotta redefine the form. The man that's gassing in your tank goes to the movies. Why?
The film is 3 hours, spans from 1926, the year John Gilbert's main rival Rudolph Valentino died, to 1932. The standout performance, like always, is Margot Robbie playing Nellie Leroy. Once again drawing from Singing in the Rain, Nellie is a silent film actress, well, once she's discovered in 1926, whose voice can't keep up with the transition to talkies.
Hiya, this is Joanne from
Mother! 17, take 6.
Mark. Action. Well, hello, college.
Who's these?
To really show us where we are in time, Jack Conrad places a call to a drunk and already fading Gloria Swanson, the star and inspiration of Sunset Boulevard decades later. Although she has star power, he negs her into coming on set.
Gloria, you have buckets of charm. This is real drama we're talking about. Shakespeare level stuff. Of course you could do Shakespeare. You would be spectacular in one of his fluffier plays.
The scenes with Margot Robbie are reminiscent of scenes from Singing in the Rain, as Lena Lamont struggles with her harsh voice.
Yeah, good and tough.
Gotta talk into the mic. I can't pick it up.
What?
Margot brings the full Harley Quinn accent, and as always, you forget she's Australian. Along with the transition to talkies, Hollywood is transitioning from the pre-code era to the Hays Code. The vice and the libertine lifestyle of stars in the Roaring '20s would be toned down in the 1930s as Hollywood cracked down on sex, drugs, and even plots where bad guys win. Babylon revels in the excess and is breathtakingly beautiful when it hits the nail on the head. However, 3 hours is a long time, and there are times, like Tobey Maguire's very strange cameo, that it feels like Giselle is just trying too hard to shock us, in ways that are just low art.
It's not a little art, you know. I want you to know that. What I do means something to millions of people.
The final scenes of the film, which take place in 1952, are a meta look at the transition to talkies as an aging Manny Torres literally watches Singing in the Rain. This could feel incredibly contrived and feel like it's too on the nose, but I personally enjoyed it. It's the feeling of somebody rediscovering their love of movies after going through hell. Personally, that's why I like the Criterion Channel.
Just singing in the rain, what a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
Anyway, before I introduce the panel, let me say, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Also, we are now monetized, so if you have any pressing questions during this live show, send us a super chat. We are absolutely obligated by international law, human rights law, to answer it. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. All of our after parties are available on there forever. Okay, let me introduce the panel. J. Andrew World, illustrator, book cover artist, comic designer, and artist for Give Them an Argument, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and Bad Takes. Christina Oakes, when she's not dog-sitting, you can find her streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/cosmopolitics. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram at @cosmopolitics. Throw her some subs on Twitch. I, of course, am your Academy Award-nominated host in a supporting role, Forrest Miller. Let's bring out those nominees. I gotta rework some of our intros, I think, this week because we're going out of Oscar time or whatever, and I still cut off the part where I plug Christina's Patreon and it just ends really abruptly. It's like, send her some subs on Twitch. Yo, the most relatable scene in this movie to me is when he runs into the camera operator's room or the camera rental place, and there's a whole thing of forms he has to fill out, and he's trying to fucking dip with the camera, and he's like, a 2708 or a 2709, and he's like, is there a difference? And the guy just starts laughing at him. As someone that went to actual film school and dealt with people that were pretty fucking entitled to have the the camera rental job, which they were all nice, but it's like college students usually that like just
There's always that one guy.
learned all the differences between the cameras, and they're like, "Oh, is there a difference?" Well, let me tell you something. I'm making no money.
Yes. Oh God. I like this film. It could have been better. It could have been a little bit shorter, but again, Margot Robbie definitely stands out during her flop era between this and Amsterdam. But I do think it kind of feels like the Jordan Peele effect. Like they're expecting her to do something even better. Like she always comes out with a film where her performance stands out, Oscar worthy, but they're like, oh, Margot, you gotta do something even better, something that will definitely like give you like that oomph. Like,
well, it feels that way with Damien Chazelle in this too, right? Like,
yeah,
they like La La Land's his big. He's still the youngest director to ever get the Best Director win. As I said in that glorious intro, like, so they're expecting something good. I mean, I think that this movie is pretty mediocre. I thought there were parts of it that were like really beautiful. I really like when they're on the actual film sets and there's like a huge battle. Yeah.
You kind of forget that way back in the day, they were literally filming like hundreds of films on one lot.
Yeah.
Like out in the desert somewhere. It's like they were filming multiple films at once and it was so chaotic, and you had to make sure that everything, like no one was interfering with everyone else's productions. Like it was a whole like system back then, which I always found fascinating.
It's how I imagine like multiple casinos getting shot at once would be when this fucking Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro out in the desert.
Yeah. The one thing that fascinated me was the fact that I kept forgetting about that there was a pre-Hays Code era. Like you were able to see such debauchery being performed. Like let's see, I think Rudolph Valentino's most famous role was The Sheik, where he played like this like rapey like prince or whatever from like somewhere from the Middle East, and a lot of women were like into it, and I'm like, I get it, but like it was always fascinating to me how we regressed when the Hays Code was implemented.
Yeah, in case people don't know what that looks like, hold on. It's it's quite the sight. He had a very short career. I think he would have gone on to some truly amazing things. I mean, that face alone, right? Like, but it was you could get away with a lot more. It's kind of ironic that it's kind of, I mean, this movie does hit the nail on the head on this. Like originally it was based on like vaudeville because it's kind of just filming vaudeville acts pretty much, and then it transformed into like larger plots. And some of the first movies are obviously just like somebody dancing or something, and like you just you turn the fucking crank and then you can see some like lady kind of just flash her titty or something like that, like
which is what Margot Robbie did in her character in Nellie's first film.
Yeah.
I remember going to San Francisco, going to the to the wharf. I think it was. They had an old arcade where you can actually see those old hand crank things where you like look in and crank it, and you just see like a scene.
Oh, you crank it.
Yeah, you crank it.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it's just because vaudeville was already happening, so it's like, why not just film that? Or I mean, some of the like the original ones are obviously like, because we talked about this with actually it's still in our I think it's still in our GIF thing, but it's like a lot of the original ones are just like a horse or like a cat or something like that, which you do see. Look, we have the first 3 of them.
And again, a lot of the films that were filmed back in the day were very, very short little like films. They weren't really like fleshed out.
I don't remember how we got this one, but
No, I don't either.
Like a lot of film, like
I'm a fucking centaur.
like I don't know if a lot of our audience knows this, but like quite a bit of silent films have been like destroyed in like fires at studios. So there's been very, very few. It's quite amazing that there are still some films that are still like preserved the way they were originally made. Like when I think of silent films, I think
they were
of
like filmed on asbestos.
Yes, and like the original film stock is incredibly fucking flammable, and they didn't make that many they didn't make that many copies of it up until they had. I mean, once they started going around the country with theaters and stuff, obviously
it was like gasoline, wasn't it?
But you know, Quentin Tarantino kind of hits that perfectly with Inglourious Bastards when the whole theater goes up, and the reason that it goes up is because they put all the film stock and then set a match to it, which is kind of a beautiful you know, end of the Nazi party in that movie because he just takes down Hitler.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting about this film is, like, of course, we know Brad Pitt's playing John Gilbert. And for those who don't know who John Gilbert is, he was one of the greatest actors in silent film history. And legend has it, his voice made it difficult for him to struggle when talkies came about, which is completely false. It was a lot of interpersonal studio politics with Louis B. Mayer, who owned Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. So there was this. They actually show this in Babylon.
He was also a reckless alcoholic, and
yes,
like as soon as his career kind of stalled out, I mean, the alcohol took over, as it does with many people. I mean, he fucking drank himself to death at like 38.
Yeah. But there's a scene where they're all singing in the rain. That's a real film that MGM did called The Hollywood Review of like 1929. And it stars all the actors that were going to be like the next best thing. And then people who transition from silent to talkies. And every time I say talkie, I want to say tanky so bad. So I do apologize. That slips out.
Yeah, Stalin. See, we got him starring in this new feature. The tanky. We got the Soviet era tank. We're gonna roll it on.
Like Brad Pitt's like, do I really gotta do this singing in the rain? I'm like, if you look it up, that's exactly the film that they actually took real elements from that period and made it into the film. Like, apparently,
I just watched Singing in the Rain last night. I realized right before we were talking about doing this episode, I think I've seen pretty much like, you know, half the scenes in it. I realized I hadn't actually seen the full 2-hour movie. Watched it last night. Liked it way better than Babylon, I hate to say, but
yeah. Well, you know what's funny about Singing in the Rain is that the actress who plays, you know, the one who has trouble singing or trouble speaking properly, she actually does her own singing that Debbie Reynolds ended up lip syncing too. Like the smooth, rich solos. That's actually that actress. That's not Debbie Reynolds actually singing. I'm like.
Well, that's a contrived voice. Like, that's not her real. But I do love those scenes are played for comedy so well. And he's like, Pierre, you shouldn't have come.
I can't stand him. But her voice is not like, she did a good job doing that voice. But like, when I found out that Debbie Reynolds wasn't actually doing her own singing for like the parts where the actress is supposed to lip sync to her, I'm like, whoa. So you mean to tell me that Singing in the Rain is just about a woman lip syncing to her own voice? What?
I think that they did a really good job in this movie with you know, they had the same. I'm trying to remember the actress's name that plays the older actress that plays the voice coach in this.
Jean Smart.
Because she's been in a lot of. No, I mean in not in this, in Singing in the Rain.
I can't stand him.
But yeah, Jean Smart does an amazing fucking job, kind of doing both. I mean, the Luella Parsons kind of role,
yes,
where she's but she also takes because this is what, you know, someone like Luella Parsons did, which she fucking did it for Reagan, which you know, her grave should be fucking pissed on for that.
She took the mask off of old Hollywood and like, oh, here's what's really going on. Like,
but she would pick favorites, and you know, there would be a quid pro quo between I'm glad I said that correctly, between the studio and Squid Pro Row versus Wade. But there would be a quid pro quo between her and the studio system, where she would take certain people under her wing. That's not why she did it for Ronald Reagan, who was actually an unpopular B-movie actor. It was because they came from the same like shitty town in Iowa or whatever. But so they kind of did the nice double role in this, where she's both being like the voice coach that's, you know, that's like trying to teach her how to be like a lady once the tide kind of changes, and Hollywood is you know, has to become more it's interesting. I mean, it's a real thing, but like, it's interesting that talkies were the thing that made Hollywood finally non-vaudevillian, kind of, because I mean, like the Jazz Singer is incredibly vaudevillian. Like, I mean, down to the fact that he literally just does blackface at the end, but like, just the entire movie is
well.
He's white.
for a lot of people who are like, well, how come everyone kind of sounds the same in the early talkies? And I'm like, well, again, a lot of these actors didn't need their voices in the beginning. So we didn't know that someone had a strong Southern drawl or a tough New Jersey accent, or maybe even something that sounded like European. So they're like, they had to come up with like, okay, these people are supposed to be like upper class folks or the shop girls or the aristocrats, like type of like aristocratic type of character. So
speaking of vaudeville,
yeah. So they came up with this mid-Atlantic accent, and when people hear mid-Atlantic, I honestly think of Grace Kelly because she had a strong like Bostonian accent, I think, and so she realized that, you know, she has the beauty, she has literally the grace, but her voice just didn't really fit what Hollywood had in mind for her. So she completely changed her voice in a way that sounds very regal, very soft. And honestly, I think Margot Robbie can totally portray her at one point in a film about her life. Because
yeah, I mean,
anyone
Margot Robbie is so
accent,
good at that.
her.
You forget that she's fucking Australian.
Yes.
Like, not to cut you off on that. I mean, I'm just agreeing. Like, yeah, like you forget the entirety of. You're like, oh shit, like because every time I see her talking in an interview, or when she did those quick cutaways in fucking the Adam McKay movie, The Big Short. She did the cutaways where they had her in like the bathtub or whatever, and she had her regular accent. Like, and it was right after I had seen Wolf of Wall Street. I was like, oh shit, yeah, she's Australian.
You know who's also Australian who looks like her, was in this film? Samara Weaving.
There's like 4 actresses that kind of look like her, and they all kind of look like each other.
Presley, oh yeah, it's a whole thing. It's like they're both, but I think it was interesting that in the beginning you see like Samara Weaving in this, and I was like, oh my god, if I want, I'm like, not only were they in the scene together, but it's like there was no like joke about, oh, these two kind of look a lot alike, and
yeah, they do look a lot alike, and when she walks in or whatever, and she's like her main rival.
Whoa. I was like, wait a minute, that's Samara Weaving.
It also it definitely cracked me up when she gets the surgery to just fuck her over. She's like, oh, guess we got to shut down, and bankrupts her rival. Like that's some fucking old Hollywood shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to actually circle back to Jean Smart because like she has become like an incredible actress. Like
yes, she's having a moment.
I know, and I'm loving it because like I remember her on Designing Women.
Yes.
And but like to this day, I remember like my all-time favorite line from that show was when she goes, "Why did the boys get a cup? What do the girls have to do? Drink from a hose?"
Yeah. I also like that they Noah Hawley played a part in her like revival because she was on Legion.
Yeah,
and then she's getting all these other roles.
Phenomenal in Fargo.
Yes, like really like
yeah, she was.
Yeah, like I kind of like the idea of some of these directors, creators, like giving like a lot of the older actors who've been around like a chance, because it's almost like I always think of Jennifer Coolidge, even though she's not that old, she's having a moment too.
No, but like
Fargo is like an honestly though, that season especially is like such an amazing ensemble piece. Like you know, there's so many actors I feel like that were in that season that don't get their due. No. Like Bokeem Woodbine playing
like Saul Ty was in that season too from Battlestar Galactica.
My favorite character in that entire season is just Mike Milligan, and it's the Bokeem Woodbine, because I don't think he gets his credit whatsoever. Like, yeah,
Bokeem Woodbine could do a movie where he's reading the phone book, and I'd be there.
But I love when he walks in at the end, and he's like, because I had this friend Bubba who passed away, but we were watching like Fargo together, and he kind of reminded me of the Mike Milligan character. Like he had the same kind of thing. He always dressed up really fancy, and he would walk in and just kind of like say something like you know, like really intellectual. But we watched the end of that season together. Like he was always hanging out, like drinking with me at my mom's at the time. And when he walks in and he's like revolution. And he's like defining it, and I was like, "Dude, that's you. Like, this is 100% you." And then then the end of it, he's when he realizes his promotion isn't that he's gonna be like, you know, the head boss or something. They just put him in a corporate office. It's like the most heartbreaking end of a season of anything ever. And it's like, this guy like killed multiple people. Like, why do I feel so bad that he's just in an office now? Like,
yeah, he's out there killing people, living his dream.
You know what's so funny about this movie though? My favorite scene is either when Margot Robbie gets bitten by that rattlesnake, or where she like literally throws up on William Randolph Hearst. I'm like, you know what? That man has a castle. I want it.
Yeah, Hearst Castle, been there, done that.
That's gonna be when I make it big on Twitch. That's where we're all gonna live.
All right, so this is a cast interview giving the inside scoop of the snake fight.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is Jean Smart and Margot Robbie. So we're really in for a treat. Yes, I'm stalling because I was finding the clip.
I kind of have a sense if I read a script that I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I think I know how I'd deliver that line, or yeah, I know how I'll get a handle on that or that aspect of the character. This script, I was like, the rattlesnake thing, I have no idea what I'm going to do, and the projectile vomiting, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't know how to pull that off.
Which she did like a veteran, so go figure.
But it's true because you read a script like through the lens of this is a Damien Chazelle film, and then you know that's so quickly followed by a gorgeous scene that Jean and Brad have together. It's very highbrow kind of writing, and right before it, I'm projectile vomiting on people. So I was like, how do I do it? I mean, I know how I do this if this was a straightforward comedy right now, but how do I do it and let it still exist in a film that is elevated and cinematic? And it has to be so absurd, and it also has to remain elevated in this kind of like cinematic space. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, it was fun though.
But you did.
You did it.
Absolutely. You did.
We did it. It was fun. It was very fun.
I think I felt a little bit, I was very nervous with our snake fight scene because I don't know how you kept a straight face when you laid there so still.
It's because she was a popsicle.
I'd frozen over at that point.
And then Damien just kept saying, suck harder. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And all I could think about was
the worst direction I've ever received.
But I just wanted to be kind of telepathically communicating with you because you had your eyes closed, and I really wanted to just say, I'm so sorry, Margot. I'm so sorry. And I just didn't,
Well, also, didn't you say that it was the sticking up of our as soon as they pulled the snake off, all the sticky stuff got covered in sand?
Well, because
you were just sand.
We had so much honey in our mouths as well. That was,
and then if I were to give you an honest answer to how kissing Margot was, it was gritty.
Yeah, it was gritty.
I've heard that before. Yeah, no, words out.
Guys, a gritty kisser. Yeah. She tasted like honey. I mean, the venom was honey, so it was gritty, yes, from all the sand, but it was also sweet.
Loud. It was a very loud.
There was a lot going on.
See the things we get to do. Showcase baby tellers. She's an awesome.
It was hard to watch.
They got all rattlesnake.
It looked so real, though. It was hard to watch.
Well, how about the real ones?
The real ones.
Oh, yeah. How close were you to the big one?
Yes.
Was there plexiglass between you?
No, but the closest I got was probably to the other side of the table.
No.
Like it's still.
But you could get them from
They
there.
were all different.
Yeah, but I asked the guy, I was like,
the others.
if I got bitten, like how long I had. And
You had to that.
Yeah, because we were far away. I was like, well, where's the closest hospital and how long until I'm past the point? Like if I do get bit, like how long do I have before, we don't get to the hospital? He was pretty vague on the answer too. I was like, I would love some specificity on this one.
But couldn't a snake strike you from that distance?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's got to be true.
I was ready to run though. If I had to. I don't know.
That animal training goes on.
Exactly.
When I first moved out.
I will say this: Margot Robbie is notorious for doing all of her own stunts. Like, she's like, I mean, she's more than just a pretty face. Okay, like she's a phenomenal actress, and she needs her due. Okay, like, I will say it. But that's crazy.
She's just like Gene Kelly in Singing in the Rain. She does all of her own stunts.
Literally.
Yep.
Also, too, but here's the thing: the difference between Margot Robbie and Gene Kelly is that all her hair is real. Did you ever see that photo of Gene Kelly without his toupee? I was like, the illusion has been shattered because I didn't
I'm
crush
looking it
on
up
him.
right now.
Seriously, Gene Kelly.
I grew up
oh
in
God!
Atlanta.
Oh no!
Yes. Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Just Roman
Fucking
Forest
love
life.
the pirate. Look at this.
Oh,
this
here we
is
go.
so sad. Trigger warning. Trigger. Oh.
Ugh.
I don't
so
like that.
sad.
I like how the Pinterest thing says still a good-looking man. I mean, yeah, but like that hairline though.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm one to talk. What, like, I'm but
yeah, at least he doesn't have your hairline. But no,
yeah. I don't know. He could have. Well, he couldn't pull off the Vin Diesel. You know what I mean? Like he couldn't have shaved his hairline for family.
Yeah.
Can we talk
as
about...
my dad used to always say that God only made a few perfect heads and the rest he covered with hair. My dad was bald, so
it's Vin Diesel, Bruce Willis.
It's giving.
Yeah, where Schwarzenegger and Stallone got malformed heads.
Yeah, I saw the video that Arnold Schwarzenegger put up last night. Did you see that? Where he's talking about going to. So he just put out this video. It was very moving. It was about him going to Auschwitz and like seeing it and walking through and anti-Semitism and growing up in Austria. Like it was like this 11-minute video, and the first like few comments underneath it are. Because he was like at the end of it, he's like, he's saying that he wants to reach out to people that are like overcome by fascism and doesn't really anti-Semitism and like wants to help people not be in that moment, and he kind of gets it. But like, so it was like this very moving video, and the first like 5 comments underneath it were just like, yeah, you fucking fascist, you were into vaccines, you were into the COVID vaccine, and like that was like a list of comments underneath it, and I was like, this just made me sad and disheartened because I don't I mean, this guy clearly like put his heart out into this video.
Yeah,
and,
he's
like Mike Cernovich underneath it being like, yeah, this fascist, he wanted people to take the vaccine. It's like, number one, that's not what fascist means. Number two, like, what?
Yeah, no, I mean, Schwarzenegger's fascinating because he's just
he's a Republican, but he's a nice guy.
He's complicated.
Yeah, he's also a creep in some ways, and
he's banging all his housekeepers, stealing back from the fascists.
You ever see the video of him in Brazil, like when he was young and drunk?
No. All right. Let's get back on track. I just I watched it at 5 a.m. and so I couldn't message the group chat and asked if you had seen it, and so I just thought of it.
So can we talk about how the early stages of talkie films, how it was such a pain in the ass to actually film talkies in the beginning because they did not get the technology correct. Like everything was either too loud or too soft, or you could really hear
it's like me and my fucking tiny microphone over here that I have to always remember to like
this.
Who sneezed? Who sneezed? Who coughed? Who breathed?
There's a really good line, and I'll play this clip. There's a really good line that they say in the interview where they're like the irony of it is that the process of making silent films was really loud because obviously they didn't have to worry about the like anything to do with the I mean, number one, they were filming multiple ones at the same time, so it was like
also too, they just played like a piano door like in the theater, I think, for like
that's how they would do it live, which is why I mean, once again, a connection to vaudeville, right? Like.
Yeah, and if you have like a good local theater, they still play silent films with a live orchestra.
Yeah.
Comment at the same time. So the comment they made is like, it was actually really loud on the set of a silent film, and then it had to be really quiet on the set of like the talkies, and they weren't used to that whatsoever. Which I mean, if you watch The Jazz Singer, most of it is still silent. Like, I mean, they have the music track to it, obviously, and I don't think they played that live.
They just did what they could.
Yeah, it's still done. It's still done with the captions and everything. When they have to kind of write copy on that, and then the last 10-15 minutes. That's like when they really wowed people with they just sit there and listen to him be white for the first 2/3 of it, and then the final third, number one, there was music, and number two, and he was in blackface. he's white. I was like chilling on Saturday night, and I was like, because I usually edit these on like Saturday or Sunday, and like the intros, and I thought of that and just started dying laughing for like 10 minutes, and I was like, I can't get away with like including that, can I? And I was like, I'm gonna do it because I like write out a script and everything. Like I do it kind of professionally, and then I record it, and it takes a while to like record it, and then I cut it together and like kind of come up with what I want to do like on the fly. And then so when I did that, I was like, there's no way I could get away with just inserting fucking Tom Hanks saying he's white, and I was like, holy shit, it works because I made it black and white. Yeah, so this is them talking about the movie within a movie. I like these round table cast things because they cut out whoever's like clearly prompting them.
Yeah. Also, too, Brad Pitt back off of Margot Robbie. She's married. Fucking creep.
Yeah, he doesn't back off.
And weirdly, he's got in profile. He looks like Brendan Gleeson for some reason in this.
Particular set or whatever, he would kind of be like, go nuts. I mean, we had a scene one time where it was like, you know what, this room is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Play in it, you know, instead of doing the 3 lines you're meant to do. And so things like that would come up, and that was really great. But yeah, it was chaos and it was madness, but he's a super specific filmmaker at the same time.
I like how you described, you know, when we were we were trying to get the shot at sunset when everything's, you know, a movie within a movie.
I mean, that's like one of my favorite. I came to visit set that day because I was like, this is something I just have to witness, even though I'm not in the scene. And I believe it was Diego's first shooting day on set, and it's Manny's first day on a film set. And it is it's something I'll never forget till the day I die, was that day. And I wrote it down. I should read it to you guys after this is all done, whatever. But I wrote it all down, like, today I went to set. It was the best day of my life, and blah, 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 blah. And I described all of it. But it was just so art imitating life in the craziest way that I don't know if we'll ever witness again, and on a scale that we'll never witness again. You had 700 extras who were playing extras that were picked up from Skid Row and given swords and told to do a battle sequence for a free lunch. You've got Spike Jonze being like Otto the director. You've got Damien directing Spike. You've got Brad being Jack Conrad, the massive movie star who's got this epic kiss with explosions in the background, and everyone's trying to get this. And you've got Diego's character Manny racing in with the camera to catch it before we lose the light. And all of this is happening while an orchestra is playing the mood music, and everyone's explosions are going off, and everyone was sitting there with like bated breath, filming a crew sitting there with bated breath, and the director Spike says, cut. We got it. And then they all run in and they cheer, and then we were watching, and Damien says, cut. We got it. And then we all ran in and cheered. It was just the greatest.
Yeah, for all the madness of filmmaking, this scene captures that other thing, that magic that happens in scenes that you can only, like, you couldn't plan for. It just happens. And when you hit those moments, it's such a high. It's just a high.
We're so lucky we get to be on set and have movie magic moments and witness it firsthand. But it's like, if I could give that to everyone in the world, I would. I was like, I wish you knew what that felt like. And in Babylon, you're going to watch that and you get that. You get that moment. You're in it. You're totally there with everyone, and you feel what it feels like to get that movie magic moment. Our walk and talk scene before the party was a one-er, went for 2.5 minutes, and we did that 36 times. That was the most takes I've ever done in a scene. But
really?
Yeah, 36. And it was like a 2.5 minute scene. But no, the scene where Nellie does her first talkie, you really, and this is like a real credit to Tom Cross, our editor, because you understand the rhythm. And for people who don't know how it goes on a film set, you kind of grasp that pretty quickly too, especially now that sound's involved, like sound, mark, blah, 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 and action, and then hitting the mark, and da-da-da-da-da. And he kind of creates this rhythm and this propulsion with the repetition of it, building up to obviously a giant disaster where Nellie loses her shit and gets in a massive fight and all hell breaks loose. But I can't remember how many times we did it, but what I can say is that none of us had a voice by the end of that day. Like literally PJ, Olivia, me, like none of us could speak because we'd been screaming so much, and the whole thing had just gotten, you know, it's bigger and crazier as every scene does on Babylon. And it was hilarious to shoot. One of my favorite scenes when I read the script is that's always the scene that made me laugh out loud so much. And when I watch the movie, I think it's a brilliant, brilliant piece of editing and sound design. Another thing that I feel like don't get a chance to talk about enough. It's like the sound design in this movie, depicting sound coming to film, is just so impactful. It's really amazing, and you definitely appreciate it in that scene in particular, because the irony is silent films were super loud, and they were so loud, they're like a cacophony of sound with sets and mood music, and then sound came in and everything got silent. So trying to like depict that transition on screen took a lot of clever people.
Most of us just think about that scene in Singing in the Rain, you know, where Gene Hagen's going, I can't stand him. I can't stand him.
That's great. I love the fact that interview kind of captures like what is great about Babylon, but doesn't, tell you like it really is just kind of a mediocre film overall, though.
A lot of
With
the
great-
editing
great
is
aspects
really
to it.
good.
It's a gorgeous
Yeah.
film that's mediocre. And
Yeah.
you can kind of take yourself out of the fact that it's mediocre for a lot of it because it's just so gorgeous. Like
It is beautiful. Yeah, it is like one of the the most beautiful films that I've seen this this Oscar season, and there's been some beautiful films. I mean,
Yeah. I do like the ending where you get to see like the evolution of cinema. Like you see clips from like Avatar and like other
Yeah, but
films
no Marvel
throughout the
movies.
history. No, I know no Marvel movies too.
Yeah,
Surprisingly,
funny. Yeah, it's like Avatar never made any cultural impact, huh? But Marvel movies have.
but I was like, oh, I was kind of waiting for the Sing in the Rain to happen. I was like, let's go.
Sing, that's been stuck in my head for days.
What about
and
Zombies
I have a hard time hearing "Singing in the Rain" without thinking of Clockwork Orange when he's like in the rain,
singing in the rain.
No, but I love when he's in the background and he's like in the rain.
I keep thinking of Tom Holland doing the Sing in the Rain umbrella lip sync battle, which
that happened 2 days before we were supposed to, or 3 days that went viral before we were supposed to do this 3 days ago, something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we also have like zombie Tobey Maguire in this movie, which speaking of Spider-Man,
that was where I was like, what the hell is going on in this film?
Yeah. I got really anxious, and I was kind of like self-soothing a little bit. I was like, I don't like this. This is unnerving. I've been and it comes in at fucking I believe it comes in at
2 hours into the movie.
Well, no, like more than that. It comes in at like 2:20, right? You're like, oh, there's 40 minutes left of this movie, and it's like he's taking you down there, and it's like he's taking you into pretty much the depths of the most depraved hell you've ever seen. And just like, I don't like, where's this going?
Yeah, like what was the point in this? Like, okay, this happened, but like, where's the lesbian like sewing circle at? Like, that's what I want.
I like that they give Ethan Suplee a little role in this. By the way, the 36 takes thing, the first thing I think of when I hear 36, 37 in a row.
Wow, that was our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire moment, I was like, what in the hell? Like I'm like, dude looks rough. I'm like, what happened? I thought he cured all his Spider-Man villains. What the hell's going on here?
I thought he got bit by a zombie like 2 days before he filmed the scene, and like just woke up from it as a zombie.
I mean, he's a good actor. He's really good when you give his all. But like with this, I was like, what? I'm like, did he just like show up to set? Like, I'm ready. I can do this. Because he could play some wild characters.
Hold on. There's a video that I just found out.
Why they went with George Romero's Tobey Maguire.
There's a video apparently of him going around where he handed out a bunch of booze for free at a screening of Babylon. I didn't know this existed until right now.
Oh, nice.
And I'm trying to find it. It says the video is running around, but then it doesn't have the video. Tobey Maguire.
I just like the fact that they made Nelly from New Jersey. I'm like, nice.
What? New Jersey. Nice New Jersey girl.
And what's so funny too is she actually doesn't sound exactly like Harley Quinn, but like there is a difference between the New Jersey and New York accents, and she nails it.
Yes.
Because there is a difference.
If you hear me do it, I'm mostly doing a Connecticut accent. Because I lived in Connecticut for a few years, so
never ever tell. Like seriously, people are like, that's not a Jersey accent, that's a Bronx accent. How can you tell? Nice. He looks really good for being 50.
Yeah, he doesn't look like George Romero's Tobey Maguire in that.
Ew, no, not Bill Maher.
Well, he was Toby, hand me some champagne. Okay.
Yeah.
Bill Maher was alive during this era, I bet.
Filming that Avocado Woman film.
It is rather fascinating to me, though, that they didn't really mention like Rudolph Valentino much in this film.
Well, he dies the year
yeah,
the movie's supposed to start, and you do see it was like, oh, you know, that one girl. It's a funny moment in it that it's, you know, Rudolph Valentino dying, and then you know, like the Jack Gordon kind of character, whatever. They're like, he gets married and that girl kills herself. And they're like, one person that's not having a good day.
yeah. Oh my god, yeah, like because there was a lot of obviously there was a lot of closeted stars back in the day. You know, gay men, gay women who did the Labrador marriage thing, and I think Rudolph Valentino ended up actually marrying a lesbian, and like she had like a freak out on like their wedding night and locked herself in the bathroom and like forbid him from touching her, and I was like, nice. Also, too, when he died, like women were literally like, it was like an open like funeral, like everyone and their mother showed up for his for when he died. I was like, damn.
This is the they basically, I think, they use this in the actual movie. Like Valentino is dead.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see his like
dead body.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these women.
Yeah. You ever seen that? Your kids ever seen a dead body?
I guess I can see the appeal.
Well, I don't feel like we have
that. You mean like when he's dead?
No, I mean when he's alive.
you kids ever see a dead body? Like you're about to.
But we don't quite have that monoculture like we used to. Like I remember in high school when Kurt Cobain died. Like that was absolutely like they set up counselors to see people all day. Everybody was crying. It was
that happened when Michael Jackson died. The whole internet just kapooey. That was a weird day.
Yeah, I remember where I was when I found out Michael Jackson died. I wasn't on the internet yet, but I mean, like, I don't know, like I wasn't on social media yet, but it was pretty sure
it was a nightmare.
I'm pretty sure I was walking with a bunch of people that like I was trying to be friends with in high school that like I definitely wasn't really friends with, but one of them really liked Michael Jackson, and I found out that Michael Jackson had died while we were walking like to the movies or something, and I was like, I think it was like 2009, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was like,
I think it was out at an Afghan place. I don't know why I remember that, but there's this.
I feel like Valentino's funeral was like the first major like event that happened with like a celebrity dying. Like, I don't really think like I'm trying to think of like when like John Barrymore or any of those like from like he was literally like the ultimate heartthrob, I guess, the romantic leading man, like the ultimate. And I'm over here like, he's fine, I guess.
I mean, he's, you know, I think it's cool that he definitely has the perfect face for like the silent era, like those eyes.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like charisma. Like you don't always get that in photographs, but like you just see somebody in video who has charisma. Like you don't need sound. You can tell which one, which person in the video has that charisma. It's just like this it factor that makes them a movie star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to mute that while you play through the commercials until you skip it. Yeah. So but like there really is this undefinable quality that's called the it factor about certain actors, certain people have it, certain rock stars, actors, whatever you want to say has it, but not everybody has it.
And also too, like you wonder, would have Valentino succeeded in talkies, considering he is an immigrant? I don't really think he would have been a successful.
Where was he from?
I think he was from like Italy, I think.
Valentino.
Yeah, like yeah, he. Let's see,
because I know, because like what's his name? Charlie Chaplin kind of vanished after Talkies came out too.
It was from Castaneda.
Well, also too, a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was riddled with scandals and stuff like that. With he had a paternity situation where a woman who was mentally unwell claimed that he was the father of her baby. DNA
and he sang Billie Jean.
No,
he wrote that for Michael Jackson.
But it was shown in court that
he mimed that for Michael Jackson, sir.
Michael Jackson's
it was proven in court that he was not the father, yet they're like, it doesn't matter. Look at this poor baby. It needs a father.
I just
Charlie
imagine
Chaplin can pay for it.
I just imagine Maury, like that Maury Povich, but he's just like in old style fucking judge robes, and he's like,
what the hell type of Rudolph, Pietro, Filiberto, Raffaello, Girolamo di Valentina di Rudolph Valentino. He's definitely Italian.
Yeah, it's from Castaneda. But all right, here's the funeral video.
Did it really make a bit? Yeah, I think there was a lot of people who showed up to that, to when she died.
By the way, this clip.
I know we need Conan right now.
Well, I don't. Is the Entertainer? I mean, it's from 1902. The copyright has to be. Did somebody renew the copyright on it?
Things get weird. I mean, like there's stuff that should be copyright free that isn't, and I don't know. I'm so confused about copyright law, like with certain things.
Yeah,
it's just
the internet has made stuff confusing.
But again, with this film, it makes you wonder how. What's the point I'm trying to make? But like, what I like about this film is that it does show, like, you know, a lot of these actors probably wouldn't have had a successful career due to the fact that they struggled with, you know, letting their accents be a little bit more hoity-toity, if you will. Also finding like the right roles for a lot of these artists, these actors, like when I think of some of the actresses that end up becoming like huge stars, like I think of like Joan Crawford, Norma Shearer, Greta Garbo. A lot of those actresses, they did silent films, but they were able to transition into like these, like either these like high class girls or like the shop girls, the it girl types. It also made it easier for a lot of these like male actors to play like especially if you came from like a theater background, like the Barrymores, it was a lot easier for them to transition to talkies as well, because they had that background where they had to like speak and talk a certain way. And I think
the thing about Greta Garbo and John Gilbert is that even as his career kind of faded out, and you know he had those problems, she and him were kind of like enough of a double act, I guess, in some ways.
Yep.
That she would keep like kind of bringing him into projects, which obviously is in this movie with Brad Pitt's character is something that we don't see at all, because you know he doesn't have that like person that he's bringing into it. Like obviously he like meets his Hungarian wife or whatever, but like, you know, like a lot of these lead actors were like kind of part of a pair, and I'm sure a lot of the pairs would burn out. But
a good example would actually be Joan Crawford and Clark Gable. Believe it or not, before Gone with the Wind, they did a lot of. They were like box office gold when they did films together. They even had an affair. Like they were one to like get married, but he was like already married to a woman like twice his age, and he was Catholic.
Clark Gable hooked up with Nancy Reagan.
Who hadn't hooked up?
I know he hooked up with Loretta Young, and you know what's so funny about Clark Gable is that, you know, he has a very distinctive look, big ears, noticeable facial features. He had an affair with Loretta Young, an actress who was she was in silent films, but she transitioned to talkies as well. And this is how old Hollywood studios work back in the day. They worked on a film together. She got pregnant by Clark Gable. The studio was like, look, Loretta, honey, you got to go away for like 9 months. Give birth. We're going to put your child in an orphanage. You're going to come back later, claim you adopted her, and everything will be. But here's the problem when you have a kid with Clark Gable. Ears.
Yeah. Well, as
the daughter got older, they were like, Loretta, your daughter kind of looks a bit like Clark Gable. She literally looks like exactly like him, and I'm like,
yeah,
like Bill Clinton's black son, who looks just like Bill Clinton.
Like she literally were like, we pinned her ears back, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, and
that could work today, though.
American Horror Story.
You couldn't get away with a story like that, though. Everything has to be out of the
Bill
open
Clinton
now.
sure did.
American Horror Story kind of, I think, rips that off in one of those seasons, right? Like with a similar thing where it's like, you know, somebody has like a daughter with, you know, a big act or something, and then adopts the kid after the fact. I think it's like the fourth season with the Freak Show or whatever, if I remember.
Yeah. It is fascinating because back then, the fact that Hollywood studios were able to come up with a story that was believable, but you know, the Llewellyn Parsons of the world were like something doesn't add up with any of these stories. Like so and so, like this actor was probably in a lavender marriage. This actress had an affair and had a kid with this actor. Like nowadays, everything is out in the open. Like, and this is what Anna de Armas said. She's like, there's no such thing as a movie star anymore. There's no secrecy. There's no illusion. We know everything about everybody. And I'm like, yeah, we don't have movie star. Like we have actors and actresses. Like we just have people who we have to know everything about them 24/7. There's no mystery to them anymore.
I mean, it's probably for the best, considering that, you know, they put a lot of these actors and actresses like into the meat grinder, essentially. Like, I mean, you know, like because nobody really knew what was going on behind the scenes, they were able to just kind of drug them up and throw them out there. And then when somebody kind of wasted away, and you can tell,
downers,
like when you look, you know, in retrospect of the pictures and stuff, but like they're able to like keep them going for long enough that, you know, they would just find somebody else. And like, I feel like it really did act like a machine in that way. Like,
you guys remember the article about who was considered box office poison, right? A lot of those actresses and actors from that transition from silent films to talkies, they consider Norma Shearer, Greta Garbo, Clark. They consider this article was released in like 1938 or 39, and it was amazing how a lot of these great actors and actresses were considered box office poison. So it goes to show that even back then, a lot of these actors, you know, they were getting older. They realized, oh crap, we transitioned to talkies. We're getting older. We got to find different roles that fit our age. And that was a lot harder, especially for women back then.
Still is for women.
Yeah.
I mean,
because everyone thinks that, oh, you're 30, you're past your prime.
Yeah, which is why I'm so happy Jean Smart's still working, because she is
so creepy. It's so creepy that like 30 is past your prime. That like I feel disgusted by that at the core of it.
Yeah,
and especially like now that like weirdos on Twitter are like, oh, like somebody's hit the wall at 30. It's like that is so fucking young. Like 10 years ago they were like 20 years old. Like that's not okay. That's not.
I'll be 30.
I mean, if you remember in 1997, I'm forgetting the actress's name, but she was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sarah Michelle Gellar?
No. What was one of the vampires? Darla.
Her, yeah.
And then she did like 10 years later. She was on a show about a family that got superpowers, and she was the mom. And she was like married to Michael Chiklis and has like teenage kids.
MDR says, I hate that I have to hear about the sex life of Pete Davidson. It's too much.
Well, we don't cover that on this show.
Yeah, Pete Davidson Sex Life podcast. By the way,
Pete Davidson Sex Life podcast is live right now.
If we start making money from this, like in the future, I had this idea today, like schlock film Saturdays, like occasionally, and you just do like old action movies or something like that, like on Saturday. I don't know why. I mean, it's just because of the alliteration. I like I'm an alliteration guy, but
yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah, one person that genuinely was toxic that kind of made it through this transition though, and like became like the biggest star of the era, like after this, Errol Flynn.
Oh God, yeah.
A statutory rapist, charged and convicted, and just like everybody just ignored it and kept fucking gassing
smuggler, like
his grandson was in Zoe 101.
Charlie Chaplin also kidnapped a girl though. I mean, drove her over state lines.
No, like if you
just can't get away with kidnapping anymore. That's why there's no stars. You know, the closest thing we have to an old movie star is Andrew Tate. Yeah.
you know what's so interesting about Charlie Chaplin is that
I thought you were gonna say Andrew Tate. I was gonna say, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Yeah, no, fight between him and Charlie Chaplin.
Like what, you know what's so weird about Charlie Chaplin?
The other day in my cell, I saw something. It was quiet. It was Charlie Chaplin.
So, like, Hollywood could excuse the fact that Charlie Chaplin was into young women. They couldn't excuse him with being anti-Nazi, though. They were like, oh, this Mr. Chaplin over here is a Jew. And I'm like, so? You're not supposed to be pro-Nazi, Hollywood. Like, that's what cost. Like, they thought that The Great Dictator was like this horrendous anti-Hitler film. And I'm like, it's a great anti-Hitler film. But, like, why are you hating on it? It's a good film.
Yeah.
By the way, the thing about like hitting the wall at 30, like that whole fucking thing on Twitter that people keep saying that's so gross. Both me and my younger brother, who's 4 years younger than me, my mom was over 30 when she had both of us. Like, like it's people are like, oh, you know, after 30, you're no longer capable of having kids. It's like, both like me and my younger brother are both kids that, you know, I would feel weird having like a younger mom than that. Like, I don't know. Like
my wife's mom was over 40 when she had my wife. So
I have a friend whose dad was, I think, like 60 or something when he had him. When and I was like, maybe that's a little too old, but like his parents were both like 60, and I was like, yeah, that might be where you hit the.
But no offense to our former guest Jerry Casali, who has a newborn baby.
Well, but he's a fucking rock star. He's been living like the rock star life, and I'm glad to see that he's like settled down. So many people that are like of that era of rock star have like burned out. So that's a little bit different than like my friend that lives in like a shitty house. That I was like, yeah, maybe that's.
It makes you wonder how burnt out a lot of these stars ended up being, like with the way things changed from silent to talkies, and with like the Hays Code. Like, I do feel like the Hays Code really prevented cinema from really. I mean, old Hollywood's great and all that, but I feel like the Hays Code really got in the way of things, because like the reason why they actually finally like got rid of the Hays Code was that, television was like, movies' main competition. And if television's come out with like gritty dramas and like period pieces, then of course, Hollywood has to keep up with the times and realize, maybe this Hays Code is not really such a good idea for us.
Well, and also the studio system was crumbling. I mean, in the way that with just a few like major studios or whatever, like there's 4 of them for a long time. I think like RCA kind of jumped in there, or no, RKO, my bad.
Yes.
Jumped in
United Artists.
Point. Which United Artists kind of interesting too, because it's like kind of just the B movie studio that was just churning out B pictures. But and the other thing that happened is there was a deal that all these studios kind of had to make, so that they weren't putting out like 25 or like 30 movies each a year. Like they had to actually, like, because you would basically own the theaters that your movies were playing in at one point. So like the studio would be like, oh well, this is a Warner Brothers theater. We only play Warner Brothers movies.
You saw in the film there was a Warner theater.
Yep.
And so, at one point they said that this isn't working because like you have to have in each city like multiple of these theaters, and they don't cross play each other's movies. That was around the time the studio system fell apart. They're like, one of the deals is like, all right, well, you have to keep this down to like 8 or 9 films a year. Like, I'll make a deal to do that, and I'll make a deal to like cross use these theaters, which is how something like AMC came up as like a company that just owns the theaters, which I feel like with like stuff like that, like Fandango and stuff, is kind of getting back to that like consolidation where it's like, maybe this needs to not happen. Also, like HBO and Warner Brothers, like it needs to fucking dial it back.
Give me my Batgirl movie. Okay.
we need to break some stuff up and bring back a bunch of shelved movies, including Batgirl and Picasso's Christ. We need to see Picasso's Christ to see if to hear my line.
But the thing about the Hays Code though, it crumbled around that time. But it's kind of fascinating. Like there's an entire like I mean, we were talking about this at the beginning, like an entire era of like dirtier films, just because of the fact that there wasn't sound, but there was still copy. And I like that the girl in this that ends up working for Pathé, which like Path is like literally the thing that we just watched the funeral on, because they have all of the stuff uploaded to YouTube. Honestly, if you're a documentarian that does quick cuts of like stuff for B-roll and doesn't have access to that, like that's your fucking best friend. Probably shouldn't use it because you have to like actually pay for it, but like you can at least kind of track it down through that and know that there's stuff out there when you're looking for like a project. But it's kind of interesting that like her role was going straight from that to going into the news, because the news required still like the newsreels would play before the movie, or and so there would be like a newsreel, you'd find out what was going on in the world, then there'd be something like fun, usually like that you'd watch like a cartoon or something. That's how those Looney Tunes cartoons and stuff kind of came about, or like Mickey Mouse, like it was just a short before the movie, and then the movie. And it wasn't just that you'd go to the movie for like an hour and a half and like kind of hang out, like your money would actually your money would kind of just buy like an experience, and that kind of connects to the whole vaudevillian, I think, aspect of it even after that, where it's like entertainment for the masses. There's not really that much going on. I mean, there was a lot going on after the 40s, and then TV, and then there's kind of more ways to entertain yourself. But like going to the movies was kind of an all day, like an all afternoon thing. You just kind of kill time by doing that.
Yeah, I'm actually lucky enough to be just old enough to go to a theater that still did that. There was a Dollar Theater in Atlanta. Going back to Designing Women, they actually name checked the theater in an episode because like it was a big deal when they were trying to tear it down a while back. But anyways, in the early 80s when I was real small, yeah, like it was kind of still done like an all day thing where they would actually show cartoons between movies, and my dad would take me after Saturday morning cartoons, and I would watch some weird Italian movie, but like also see like on the big screen old Looney Tunes cartoons. It was a surreal experience. And then like it would be like the Hercules movie where Lou Ferrigno punches a bear into space.
Do you guys want to watch one more clip and then go to the Letterboxd one-liners?
Yes,
sounds great.
All right, so this is about dressing Jean Smart. I kind of thought this was interesting. Yo, you should definitely put that on during the plugs. Just keep ragtime on the whole time. Hey, see?
I'll see what I can do.
By the way, you have to remember to plug Caterwall.
Yep. No, that's in my list.
All right, cool.
Mary, I have to say, I was completely blown away by your work in this movie, by the costumes, because I feel like, there's so many great costumes in this movie. The characters are always trying to, they're trying to convey who they want the world to think they are through their clothes. And my favorite example of that is Eleanor, the Jean Smart character. Like, and watching the movie again tonight, like I just was blown away by every outfit she has. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your conception of that character and what you were trying to say about her and what she's trying to say about herself through what she's wearing.
Well, first we had the good luck to dress Jean Smart, who was not only statuesque and 5'10", which helped carry some of the concepts for her character, but she was, the pitch for her was that she should be, when you first meet her in the movie, you recognize who she is amongst many other people at that party, and it's, you remember who she is, and then she continues that sort of outrageous depiction of herself. And it's just that this is her, she's wants to draw as much attention to herself as all the people that she's covering in her writing. So that was the idea, is sort of an eccentric approach. And like I said, having Jean play the part was an extra bonus.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the look of the movie, I was wondering how, what Tom was saying about this being a maximalist movie, and it has such kind of wildly varying tones, and it's kind of a more is more movie. How does that inform the approach to the cinematography?
Oh, well, it's definitely, the script and what Damien was looking for in our discussions was to not make it like a typically period movie, but rather our view, or like a modern view of that. But I think the general idea was to be expressive, and for me, it felt also like you don't want to light it like in an artificial way, but rather actually see how it looked back then for real, and go into that gritty reality of the dirt and the sweat and the heat and the sort of dingy parts of the world and reality. And so with the scope of the film being like so big, you wanted to be able to see everything in a way, like see everything in a big scope, but still go into the details. And I think lighting wise, it was naturalistic approach, but with the sort of look of the film, we looked for something more expressive in a sort of impressionistic way, but like in an expressive way. So we explored different ways of treating the film stock, and we push processed the whole film to create contrast and to see color better, and and the lighting is sort of naturalistic, right? It's just that we have had also contrasty approach to things in order to help the dynamic part of that.
So what did you guys think of the scene where, she kind of, Jean Smart's character, the Luella Parsons kind of character, kind of destroys Brad Pitt's self-esteem, career, and inevitably life when he kind of spirals out of control? That scene, I think, is really well written.
Yeah. I was like, oh boy. I mean, again, like, his character is definitely based off of John Gilbert for sure, and also too, apparently Nellie was supposed to be based off of Clara Bow when Emma Stone was supposed to play her character. Did you guys know that?
Yeah. What I was going to ask earlier, and then I completely forgot. Do you guys think this movie would have worked? I don't think it would. It definitely wouldn't have worked as well, which I don't even think it worked that well in general. But like, I feel like with Emma Stone, it wouldn't have.
Yeah,
I mean, Emma Stone's talented. I'm not gonna, knock her, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel kind of
she has a very silent movie face.
Yes, she does. Yes. But I just don't. Yes. And Margot Robbie kind of doesn't have a silent movie face. I mean,
no.
But it's so that's why I was like, huh, okay. But again, I just feel like Margot.
I mean, that actually explains Amazing Spider-Man, because it was nothing but like, hey, I'm Mary Jane, see, and.
So he's like watching it. He's like, we should get Tobey Maguire and and Emma Stone up in here, and
yeah. Too bad James Garfield's not available. We'll have him put the guy who's eating the rat.
Yeah, I think that scene's so devastating in it. So I mean, it definitely prepares you for his inevitable suicide scene, which is obviously really sad because you feel for the guy. I mean,
yeah,
I liked Brad Pitt in this. I like Brad Pitt in most things. I never expect to like Brad Pitt in things because I feel like he's like kind of billed as kind of like a lightweight actor, and he isn't. But like,
my favorite Brad Pitt role is when he played the Vanisher in Deadpool 2.
I really liked watching 12 Monkeys when he's just out of his fucking mind.
No, seeing 12 Monkeys in the 90s made me a fan. Because I skipped because I watched that and Thelma and Louise right about the same time, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Well, and then that kind of, I guess, brings us to the the movie that this is most compared to, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which amazing movie.
Starred Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie.
Yeah, and this movie's being compared to that a lot. I don't think that helps it out because that movie is just so fucking good. I watched.
And then Bruce Lee is all over this movie, and it's crazy.
I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in the theater. I watched it with my brother and one of his friends, and with my dad when I still talked to my dad, and he took us to the movies. And I remember my brother and his friend just yelling when fucking at the end of it when fucking Brad Pitt just goes ham and and just that end scene, that entire fucking end scene of the pool and shit when the girl from Better Things gets set on fire and shit. I remember my brother just screaming in the theater, be like, ah, and people just kind of staring at him.
It sounds like my Congo experience when I went to go see that in college.
Oh, I thought you meant when you went to the Congo.
No, I went to go see Congo, the movie with Tim Curry. And my date and I just had this great comedic timing, and the people behind us thought that was the best part of the movie because we're sitting there like, what's Tim Curry doing with that accent? And she'd be like, oh, that's because Ernie Hudson has his accent. And
yeah, I haven't seen it. So I don't know.
The whole thing, and the people behind us thought that was the funniest thing.
Well, it's the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood thing is because the girl from Have you guys seen Better Things? Is the show with Pamela, what's her name? Louis C.K.'s friend and Louis that he's in love with. No. Pamela Alden, I think her name is. So there's a show. The girl that who I'm talking about that gets set on fire and that's running around and at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She's from that. That's the only other thing I've seen her in. She's a pretty new actress, I think. And it's just such a grotesque she gets set on fire and just you watch her burn, and it's it's not like that, she hits with a flamethrower, and it's not like that ends in a few seconds, right? You literally just watch her fucking fry. And I think that's why my brother was yelling in the theater. It was just because he didn't expect it to go on for that long. It's kind of I mean, even in All Quiet on the Western Front, just watching that, the flamethrower scene is seen from a distance. It's not seen from the way it was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's you're right there. It almost feels like you can feel the flame when she gets fucking doused with the flamethrower.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. I don't know. You ready for Letterboxd one-liners?
Yes. Hey guys, so Conan is here. So guess who's in charge of Letterboxd one-liners? This gal. So, Letterboxd, a place where film lovers, film haters, film curious folks gather around to discuss the films that they loved, hated, were turned on by, were confuzzled by, and just overall loved. Are you really right now? Anyway,
I feel like this bit works well enough without. It doesn't need ragtime music. Your plugs are what needs ragtime music.
Yes. But with that being said, here are the Letterboxd one-liners for the mediocre yet wonderful film Babylon.
We got to say it because I put two exclamation points in the title. Babylon.
Babylon. Okay. If La La Land were this track to cinema.
Yeah.
True. Overstimulation at its finest.
Yeah, I feel like there's almost like a spectrum to the ways you get overstimulated in films. Like this is one part of the spectrum. I'm not saying it's one side of the spectrum, but I feel like Uncut Gems is another. Uncut Gems is another.
Watch it when you're high, man. It's fun.
It's watching Uncut Gems when you're high.
No, watching this film when you're high.
I'm sure when you're watching this film when you're high. I haven't like taken edibles in a while, but watching Uncut Gems and edibles. I mean, I've talked about this. Gave me a fucking panic attack. I told that story when we were
yeah. I don't think edibles would really work with this movie because that ending, whenever they go down to the levels of hell, you'd totally freak out on edibles.
Edibles wouldn't work for this movie because, at least for me, because I couldn't watch something for 3 hours on edibles.
I did. It was great. Thank you, Margot Robbie, for that scene.
Yo, I do like when they're talking about it in the fucking in that clip, and they're like, "Oh, his direction was suck harder," and it's like,
you know what I love though is the one scene where she's like, and she puts ice on her nipples. She's like, I don't put ice on my nipples; it's natural. And then she like runs backstage, puts ice on her nipples.
That's a Jean Harlow thing too, by the way. Jean Harlow would do that.
See, you gotta put the ice on the nipples. If you want to make it in Hollywood, kid, ice on the nipples. That's what you got to do.
Who called it Babylon and not Cocaine Margot?
True.
I mean,
Cocaine Margot to the polls.
2.5. Good movies have piss and shit and blood and vomit in them.
Yeah, it's hilarious back to back to do this movie and Triangle of Sadness, which I'm sad you weren't here for because all of us wanted to hear your take on it, but we will on Sunday when we do the Oscars, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, like that's another movie that has literal piss, shit, blood, and vomit in it.
Yeah, literally.
He, what's the thing? I was shitting and pissing and something.
Once upon a time in Hollywood, but in the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it benefits from that comparison though, because that movie's so good.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, this is a mediocre movie that has lots of really great things about it.
Yeah, this is like a beautiful yet mediocre movie. Like I'm assuming some of those silent film stars.
This review may contain spoilers. I can handle the truth. A lot of people wrote that one in. But yeah, those were the Letterboxd one-liners for Babylon. You can find Forrest up there over at Movie Night Extravaganza. He always does all the films that we go over. If you are wanting to look at some interesting reviews, Change Your World's got you because he's watching all the shit that you probably don't want to watch. And Conan's obviously on there. Follow him for the Criterion Challenge, and I'll come back eventually.
My review for this, I'm gonna try to do it off the top of my head, I guess. But it was something like if you gave Ryan Murphy shrooms and made sure he had a bad trip, and then asked him to describe the plot of Singing in the Rain, that's this movie.
That is so true.
I compared it to that to that movie where Werner Herzog brings a boat up the mountain, but like it's an elephant that shits on you in the first minute.
I was like,
2 hours later, zombie Tobey Maguire shows up and it gets weird.
I feel like there's definitely a joke in there where you could be like, that elephant is a symbol of the Republican Party, as like they're like going downhill and they're all trying to save it, and then the elephant shits on them. That's like the Republican Party and its voters.
But I think it is time for the plugs.
All right, kids. See, all right. We're doing the plugs. Brought to you by Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and of course, asbestos. Asbestos. Put it on all your food.
It's as asbestos can be.
Oh wait, I'm getting a commercial in the middle of my ragtime music.
When someone gets brain damage from asbestos, they're doing as best as they can.
That's right.
That's terrible.
Asbestos can be.
But anyways, you're watching us on YouTube, so please do those. Oh, wait. We're still making jokes.
I was most likely like around asbestos as a kid because they didn't take the asbestos out of the SUNY New Paltz buildings where my mom worked, and like I spent a lot of my fucking time until I think like 2012 or something. Like,
well, anyways, right now, if this thing will play, you're watching us on YouTube, so please do those YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, ding, ding, and please watch the video to the end because you get much better music than this ragtime music. Let me tell you, kids.
You sound like a gay man on cocaine.
Isn't that how they used to do this stuff?
Yeah, see?
Yeah, see? I'm a gay man on cocaine. It's great. Follow us on Twitter.
You realize I'm clipping that, right?
Probably. But yeah, no, follow us on Twitter. We got a Facebook and we got an Instagram. So if you want to check out artwork before the show starts, see other fun things. Sometimes we have wacky conversations.
Like right now.
Yes, like right now.
Sometimes I keep my
social media network.
Sometimes I keep my plug that's actually called The Count. His name's The Count. And I keep him by my side while we do the after party. He slips me a little, he slips me some of those bennies, you know what I mean? Like right out of the inhaler actually. And I keep popping them. And then, the after parties, they get wild for that reason, you know what I mean? What show was that guy in, by the way? That guy was in some
Sesame Street?
No, the Count in this, the guy that has the cape on, that's like the guy that he goes to see Tobey Maguire with.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy in this is like, call me the Count.
I want to suck your blood.
But, so that guy was in some like show for like a season or something, and he was really annoying. It was like a show that was supposed to be like The Office, I think, and he was supposed to be like the Dwight Schrute kind of character. And
sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. But what we do know what we're talking about is we have a Patreon, and the big thing about the Patreon is you can get access to our bonus content, our after parties forever. So yeah.
See, you'll live forever. Don't worry.
Live forever in the after parties. Conan is not with us, but really important. If you want to have more Conan in your life, you can get that this week because on Protonic Reversal he's going to have Donna Diane of Juno, which is going to be really exciting. She's kind of reinventing heavy metal music, and check out her music video if you want to know what we're talking about. And also the big news is Caterwaul tickets are for sale right now. So please go to caterwaul.org, get your tickets, show up. You might recognize a few people doing media work there.
Yeah, it's the 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th. And it has this great list of bands that are playing. You can see it at
including Action Chief and Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends at the same place.
And Moon Pussy. Never heard of them, but their name is Moon Pussy.
That's nice.
Sounds great.
I love it.
That sounds great.
On Monday that week, they have a surprise secret band. Excited to hear about what that is when they surprise everyone. But this is the website, Caterwaul 2023. 4-day passes are on sale right now.
Yeah, so check that out.
There's a playlist with all the band music,
Yeah, and if you dig this, what you're hearing right now, it doesn't sound anything like any of this.
Yes.
Yeah, see, Caterwaul Festival 2023.
Caterwaul Festival. But
all
if
the best
you do want to have
time.
If you do want to get some Conan music in your life before Caterwaul, go to neutronfriends.bandcamp.com and you can order Dangerous Nomenclature, which is the most recent album, or of course, I forgot the name of the album I did the cover for, the single I did the cover for.
Again?
What is it? Cry Bullies. Cry Bullies. It's Cry Bullies.
There you go.
I know what it is.
It's the one that's about my Twitter output. The people
But
that.
yeah, I did the album art for the single "Cry Bullies," so you can go check that out if you need more Conan Uchod music in your life. Take it away.
Heavy metal ragtime.
So, Christina, you got a Twitch channel.
Yes.
And you got anything planned this week?
I'm actually going on Dig on America tomorrow night on Twitch. That's gonna be fun. Another podcast stream to go on. But I'm streaming after this, so yeah.
You're invited all over the place. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're on what?
Worst week yet.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They really want to come on this podcast. They're like, when are we getting on this?
Oh hell yeah.
Well, I've been cool with Kennedy for a while. They like actually sent me work.
The conservative commentator.
Doing like Democratic Party ads for like Detroit Action or whatever. And last summer, they sent me like a bunch of stuff to do on that, which I like made some money doing that. I was happy to do that. Available for work.
Yes, there's a plug for Forrest right there.
Plug me, Daddy. That's the new song, taking the airwaves. Plug me, Daddy.
Pluggers.
Andy and his ragtime band.
Yes. All right. Also, if you can, you want to buy Christina a coffee, go buy her a coffee right now. Go to ko-fi.com, right?
Yep. /Cosmopolitics.
Yes. /Cosmopolitics, and buy her a coffee.
Yes.
And
there's one more big thing we got to plug.
Well, her throne.
Yes, that too. Whatever.
Was it throne.me, right?
It's throne.me /Cosmopolitics. Buy me something nice. Help me redecorate my streaming space.
Yeah. So if you want to get something nice for Christine.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about that too.
Yeah. All right. So today, was kind of low.
I love how it's like me and Conan are like the host of this.
Well, he bitched about not getting the credit he deserves.
He deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah. So but I just thought like the first thing that I did was, oh, all right, you want the credit? That I put his name first and also my name. I'm pretty selfless. I don't get enough credit for how selfless I am. I'm always putting myself last, and I think I should get some credit for that. No, so the Oscars tonight was kind of low key. We didn't even bother really to get a guest or whatever, which it's fun to just hang out. But Sunday is gonna be our big show. We're gonna be covering the Oscars live, which essentially probably means watching the Oscars feed as they update things and then giving you guys the updates. Which I think we're at least
my
as funny
laptop
as
ready with the feed and have closed captions on so that we can't be seen or heard.
Which it actually cracks me up that because I completely forgot about the Moonlight La La Land switch up until I made that intro. Jimmy Kimmel once again hosting the Oscars, which is pretty...
Y'all know what's gonna happen. Avatar Best Picture. No, guys, no. Everything Everywhere All at Once won. That's what's gonna happen. Mark my words.
By the way,
Jimmy
I'm
screenshotting.
I'm screenshotting this. Everybody complains when I screenshot wrong, so I'm screenshotting the screen right now. All right. Yeah, it would be funny if it's a curse though. Like they're like
we figured out Jimmy Kimmel.
They're gonna be like, all right, sound design goes to they just fuck with Damien Chazelle nonstop. Sound design goes to, they're like, Babylon, and he gets up with everybody on stage and they're like, oh man, we meant to say like the Fablemans.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm looking forward to this. This will hopefully be fun. We're not done with the plugs. I got 2 more plugs. See, I actually want to plug myself for a change because last night I had a fun time on Ben Burgess's show without Ben Burgess. You can catch if you subscribe. You can see me reading the poetry of Jordan Peterson.
Oh boy.
Oh, I have so many curse thoughts in my head that I want to, get rid of.
The crazy thing is the song he wrote and performed actually is pretty good.
trans, jams, bands.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. The poetry is horrendous. They're like these little couplets where he rhymes about child abuse. Most of them end about like children being raped. It's really disgusting.
There once was a young kid named Danny. He got it right in the fanny.
Not that far off. But they're all in alphabet. It's all alphabet. So it's like it would start off with like somebody's name, and then like he tries to alliterate the first line, the first couplet of it with is all alliterated too. It is horrible. It is some of the worst shit you've ever read. Because some of them are
all
just
these failed actors and singers, man. They just become conservative commentators.
Well, have you guys seen the Michael Knowles acting reel?
Oh God,
I don't want to.
Yeah, well, so he went to Yale for fucking theater. He was only in like a few web series and then made like a couple cameos in the background of TV shows before the Daily Wire like pity hired him, because everybody at that fucking place is a pity hire. It's either a pity hire of someone who is a failed screenwriter, failed producer, failed actor, or someone like either Jordan Peterson or Matt Walsh who like just can't get a job anywhere else because they're just out of their fucking minds. So like he's the he's the failed acting side of it. So that like,
I'm ready for the sequel that explains all of this, called Babylon 2: Conservative Boogaloo.
I will say Babylon 5 is nuts. I love it to death, but it is nuts that it somehow goes from this to where they go in Babylon 5.
You guys aren't ready for the Flacos, the big
yes.
Flacco awards,
right?
But I do have one last plug. This is Oscar month. Oscars always remind me of my friend Eric, who absolutely loved them. Since this movie does contain an important plot point of suicide, I do want to say to people who are out there hurting, hey man, we care. Take care of yourself. There are some resources I'm going to give you right now if you need help. So you can call or text 988 in the United States. That'll get you help. Which is fantastic. It's that number is so easy to remember too. 988.
Yeah, I don't know if like the number of suicides in the area by me has like gone up, but on the bridges now, all like on Mid Hudson Bridge, and I mean I think somebody jumped off the Rhinebeck Bridge and died recently. Like that's where they usually go because it's a scenic bridge, I guess. But
that's pretty high up.
They now put the 988 signs when you go drive past, and it's like somebody cares. And I realized that they put up like now twice the billboards. I'm like, this is really a hard time for people.
It is, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this, because like I said, this is I'm glad we didn't cover the Oscars last year because I don't know if I could have handled it. If you send me like a picture of your friend or something, I can do a little bit of a tribute. I'm gonna do some kind of intro for the Oscars, so I can also check out his movie Scabs. It's a gay vampire movie. He has a small part in it. He plays a clerk. He's also like does like assistant directing, camera work, like he's like all behind the scenes, but he was very involved with that. And Puddle Cruisers was his first on-screen appearance. Remember Broken Lizard guys, the guys who did Super Troopers?
Yeah.
Was that the Broken Lizard guys. He was in one of their early films. They as like a real small part as like in a courtroom scene, which he ended up like getting on set as an extra and got like an actual like speaking part. Trucked them into giving him a speaking part, which is awesome. I
had a friend that I guess his older brother committed suicide, but I completely forgot I was part of this until he just announced that he released it, I think 2 weeks ago. He had this movie he made called Suicide Eyes, where he tried to like grapple with his older brother's death by like it was a crazy film shoot, because sometimes I do like short film shoots for people, like like I get involved with it. I wasn't like shooting it or anything, but I was holding like a mic and like kind of helping out with whatever needs to get helped out on the set. And he got like a coffin and everything and put himself in the coffin and like envisioned his own funeral, but as his brother. Like it was it was really touching. He did like this whole film shoot. We like spent days doing it. He did another film shoot afterwards. also spelled my name wrong on the IMDb thing, but he premiered that recently, and I don't know when it's going to be. I think he's right now doing like theater, like in movie theaters. He's doing like premieres of it, but at some point it's going to be available for streaming somewhere.
Okay. Well, keep us updated on that, so we can plug it, because get your work out there.
I have a picture somewhere of he took a picture of himself and like as if it was his funeral, and then got into the coffin, and he had like I think there was like 10 or 15 of us really like helping out with this entire film shoot in like a church and everything, and it was nuts. Like this guy kind of was able to watch his own funeral back almost. Like I don't know, he's a kid I knew from like middle school and stuff, like for a really long time, but kind of fascinated to see that when it comes out on streaming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. But let me just run through a couple more numbers real quickly. So we got 988. The national number also is 1-800-273-8255. If you're trans and you need help, we love you, and you can call 1-877-565-8860. The Trevor LGBTQ Youth Lifeline, 1-866-488-7386. And finally, if you're a veteran out there and you're hurting, we also care about you. And we want you to call 1-800-273-8255 and then press 1.
All right. I'll do a little bit of a I want to do some kind of intro for the Oscars. Not sure what I want to do yet, but we have like a few days to figure it out. I finally get my ADHD meds tomorrow, so I'm gonna probably start working on something tomorrow and I'm gonna like send you guys like frantic texts of like, look what I just did, and it's just gonna be he's white over and over and over again. But I'll work in some kind of tribute for your friend if you want to send me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, where you're just like, he's white.
Andy's friend, he's white.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he was born in Israel, which is going to make it hard for you to make, but he's white. It's going to be weird.
They did have good pickles there. When we were in the city, we went to a taco place, and I love pickles. Like pickles are like one of my favorite things to eat. Like I drink pickleback, so I go to the bar. Like I love pickles. And the one taco that looked really good was like I think it was carne asada and Israeli pickles. Yes. And I was like I don't want to eat these. These are Israeli, but I like tried them and I was like, oh, I hate them.
Man, apartheid pickles are great.
But Christina, let's hear some final thoughts.
All right, so obviously I'm a huge Margot Robbie fan, so anything she does, I'm going to watch. I just can't help myself. I love her. Was this film a masterpiece? No. But it did portray a really, fucked up, pre-Hays Code Hollywood. The editing is great. It's a very chaotic film. Beautifully, obviously the movie's very long, but like the editing, the shots, were pretty great. The costume designs and even set designs were really good. It's a beautiful film to look at. Could have been a little bit shorter, could have been a little bit better, but I do think that this would be considered Oscar bait that kind of didn't actually like fall through.
Which is surprising because I mean Green Book probably a fucking worst movie just got eaten up by them. Like the Oscars seem very when someone makes Oscar bait, it's rare that it doesn't land with the people that judge the Oscars. Like
yeah.
But Andy, final thoughts.
The categories that this movie is nominated for, it definitely deserves those nominations. There's no doubt about that. The acting in this movie is spectacular. I just wish this was a better movie. It really it absolutely, you should definitely watch this though. Like, be aware, yes, it's 3 hours. Yes, it's mediocre. But the brilliant thing I loved about it is you go through this whole movie and then the guy sits down and watches Singing in the Rain, which is, basically the movie you just watched, except he ends up having a Kubrick-esque drug trip in the middle of it. And like, it's kind of perfect. It's like the best possible ending that you could have. And I really do think it there is some profundity to this mediocre film. And that's the thing that frustrates me, is that it's so mediocre, but has such great moments to it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of people didn't like the ending. I liked the ending because I think that, you know, the very beginning, I mean, he's coked out of his fucking mind, and and we didn't talk about how much like drug use is in this movie. It's,
oh my god,
it's
like amount. It makes Cocaine Bear look like it's Clean and Sober Bear.
But yeah, so but it's not even like a drug trip. He comes back to Hollywood, and this whole thing has been so traumatic, obviously, and like I kind of find it fascinating that throughout it, he's clearly not able to watch movies, right? Like he's getting busier and busier, and he's becoming like an executive at this you know, at the studio and everything. And it's kind of fascinating that it's a person rediscovering their love of movies, which after a movie where it's been such a traumatic ride, and it seems like it hates this era of Hollywood almost, like him rediscovering his love of movies is almost like Damien Chazelle at the end of it, giving you kind of his own catharsis, where it's like, I still love movies. I might not like this you know, this era of it. But this is my final playoff. Andy, can you do the ragtime?
Oh, give me a second.